Welcome. Here we are. It's
favorite
Monday.
day of the week right here.
Oh, what a way to start the week. It's Monday, so it must be time for
More
Mondays.
Oh. We're getting better.
Oh,
Elected.
We're getting better. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. Had a great weekend. I got this. Look what I got here.
What'd you get?
Look what Nephilim sent me right here. Check it out.
Oh, a little duck.
It's a rubber duck advent calendar.
That's funny.
That is freaking awesome. I'm telling you, we always have the best community around, and this is the coolest thing that I've seen.
I just talked to her last night. She didn't tell me she did that. That's funny.
When Thunder sees that, he's gonna lose his mind.
He is, yeah.
Las Cruces, man, how's it going? We got Gog, Todd in the building. I always want to call you Gog from What's Not. It's Gog. Todd. And we got Tim in here. What's up, Tim?
Hello, everyone. What's up? So we got, Las Cruces saying hi. Todd saying hi. Tim saying hi. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're feeling better, man. I know you were kind of down a little bit this weekend.
I was. Yeah, I just woke up Friday morning, my throat hurting and coughing and stuff. And then I rested all day Saturday and felt a little better Sunday. Got around to doing a little bit of work and stuff in the comic book room and everything. So I don't know how it is in your comic book room, but I mean, you got wife and all that stuff, but this is the toy room. So I got another whole room of comics. And so the goal last week was just to get all the stuff out of the middle of the room to the edges so I could start sorting. And so I worked last week getting all the stuff to the edges of the room, and now stuff is back in the middle of the room because I've been sorting it. So it's just a revolving door of, of doing things. And I'm like, I got about 20, maybe 23 boxes and stuff. And I counted today and it's 46.
Yeah. Yep. Just when you think you're almost getting caught up, like I'm almost organized, and all of a sudden it's boom. Yeah. It's another giant pit again. I'm like, oh,
it is. But I keep saying I want to get myself down to 3 boxes of PC and then all the rest sell. So
3? You'll never get to 3, dude.
Oh no, there's another whole warehouse. So there's another warehouse of 50 something boxes. Yeah. But in the room. So, and I have managed to get it down to about 3 boxes right now. So Todd, I just got in some short boxes. I ordered them through Bags Unlimited. Super great company. The 2 companies I always use is Bags Unlimited and BCW. Yeah. BCW is on reorder, but Bags Unlimited is in stock. It took about a week, and I just got in some short boxes and some magazine boxes. So, and then you can always go to Amazon. People will make better deals when you're buying a minimum 5 boxes at a time. Usually it's around $40 to $50, which isn't a bad deal. So you might try that.
Yeah, Bags Unlimited, I think they know my phone number now when I call. I order so much from there. And I happen to luck out my LCS here.
Always support your LCSs first. My LCSs have been out because they go through Diamond and somebody else, and I do know that they're on back order with all of that stuff. So
they usually are out, and I just happen to go in there. I'm like, man, I'm in dire need. I need more long boxes, and they're like, we actually just got some in today. And I'm like, well, give me them. He's like, well, how many? I'm like, well, how many you got? Just give me them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, all right, $5 each. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. I needed some. So what I haven't gotten around to is the graded stuff. Because I actually owe a reply back to you on some graded stuff. So I had to get some graded boxes, but it's like, oh, I don't want to order 5. And then I kind of looked at my stack and it's like, okay, I could probably use
You
5.
probably need it. Yeah.
I probably
If you
use
think
5.
you need 5, you probably need 7.
Well, I was thinking I needed 2, but it's like, yeah, okay. I think I ended up ordering, I paid a little more, but I think I ordered a lot of 4 or something like that. So, which I'm trying to get a order to CBCS together and stuff. So, oh man, I did have a stack of modern books. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to waste my time. Send in the Silver Age. Send the Silver Age. Invest in getting that stuff all sealed up. I mean,
Yep.
there's so much modern stuff, and then if you don't get a 9.8 back on the modern stuff, it's like you wasted your time.
You get nothing. Yep.
Get nothing.
You're exactly right.
Get nothing.
Yeah, if you have a stack of silver, I would definitely go for the silver first. Although I do have to admit, the turnaround times for modern turnarounds are really good right now, but you got to pay for it. So, like you said, if you don't end up getting a 9.8, it's almost not worth it now. You lose money on it because you have to pay so much more for that, but you get it back quick.
Yeah, a CBCS, if I do the fast track, I think the longest it's ever taken with modern books has been 32 days.
Yeah.
Super great. And then the silver, that falls into automatically a faster tier. So you do that and fast track. I've gotten silver back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so Silver Age is worth it. Modern, unless it's you're talking about like a first re or something, some major key. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that until you get all the other stuff done.
Yeah. I even had something is killing the children #1 first print. But
that's a key. That would be a good one because that if you get a 9.8, obviously you're in the $1,000
it's not
range.
a 9.8. It's not a 9.8 because that has that little bit stiffer cover on it, and there's 2 obvious ticks that are about 1/8 of an inch.
Oh,
so it's at best a 9.4, 9.6. I feel like I'd probably get a 9.6, which still may be worth it for that book. I mean, even a 9.6 in that book is,
if you think that's a 9.6, then I would still get it.
Yeah.
If you think it's going to be a 9.2, which sounds like it may be a 9.2 or 9.4, I would probably not.
You never know.
9.6, I would definitely do it.
You never know. I've had books that have had dented corners gotten a 9.6, and right. I've had books that had 1 tick get a 9.2. So, you just never know sometimes.
That is true.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about today? We're finishing up our topic from last time, right?
No. This is only part 2, my friend. Only
part 2.
I think it's probably going to end up being about 6 parts. All said and done. That's why I wanted to do it, because it's something I knew that I could stretch out for a while and I won't have to worry about thinking of topics. But one thing I did want to bring up,
so yeah,
one thing I did want to bring up some news is, we got news. So here, let me, we haven't done this one in a while.
Oh yeah, the update. Gotta throw that whenever we can. We need new graphics.
So this weekend, here in Houston was supposed to be the Bayou City Con.
Okay.
And they had a good guest lineup, and such. It ended up being canceled because of what happened at Astro World.
Oh.
I talked to Tone Rodriguez earlier this week whenever I saw it was canceled, because he was supposed to be there and we were supposed to get together and maybe have dinner, and I was going to take him to a couple comic shops and things like that. But because of the Astro World tragedy, they was requiring them to carry more liability insurance, which would have been at a cost of $300,000
for the convention center people.
Well, yeah, and what's odd is, Houston has plenty of convention centers and stuff. This was actually being held at the Galleria. And specifically in the Galleria, there's the Westin Hotel. And so you could go into the Westin Hotel, and then it opens up actually into the Galleria, the big mall there.
Yeah.
And then the way they have it set up is you have the hotel, up and down hotel. It opens up into the mall, so a concourse into the mall, and then the convention center part is up and down on the other side. So it's actually not one big room; it's a bunch of smaller rooms.
Okay.
Where they split things up and stuff, and so
what's up, Thunder?
So yeah, I mean, I don't see where there could have been the problem of any kind of tragedy happening and stuff. I think
look what I got, Thunder.
Advent calendar
racing this Thursday night.
But I'm sure what they looked at was things like Comic Palooza that usually gets around 35 to 40,000 people. Things like that. I doubted this show would have gotten near that amount, probably a couple thousand. But anyway, so yeah, that show is canceled. Don't know what that's going to mean for Houston and comic shows in the future if they're having to carry such high insurance and stuff.
I'm sure it's the normal knee-jerk reaction. Something happens, everyone goes crazy for a little bit, and then they forget about it a few months later, unfortunately, and it'll go back down. But
yeah. So anyway, so that con is canceled, and there is a store called Space Cadets that's in North Houston, and they'll be hosting some of the people that had already planned on coming in town and stuff, and they'll be having a big sale. So if you are in the Houston area, and it'll be Saturday from like 9 to 5 at Space Cadets. So no Bayou City Con, but you can go to Space Cadets, and they'll be having a big sale and stuff. So go and support them. I think Lori, if I remember it, Lori and her friend owns that. So yeah, really great people. I don't get to visit with them near enough, but yeah. If you don't start responding, I saw your thing earlier. I did not get a chance to respond.
Under production.
You missed me talking about at the beginning of the show, all the stuff I'm doing right now. I've got so much going on.
I love it, man.
And then I have a special announcement at the end that I need some help with the community from. All right, let's get into it. So this is part deuce of this. And get rearranged here. All right. So if y'all were here last week, we kind of went from the early 1900s, not last week, 2 weeks ago, early 1900s to 1934, which was the beginning of what we call the modern format of comics, which was Famous Funnies, Comics on Parade, and things like that. So now we're going to look at what occurred after that. So before superheroes, we had what was called funny and adventure comics. So we're going to take kind of a deep dive into some of those here tonight. There we go. So open the floodgates. So soon after the success of Famous Funnies, Dale, why is Gorilla Todd calling me? He knows the show's going on.
Apparently not.
Oh my God.
Answer, put it on speaker.
That's funny. I should have. And then he left me a voicemail. This is going to be remembered forever now. Okay. So Dale, and I love this, right? I love, you and I talked about this a little bit last week. These companies that, went out of business in the 60s, 70s, 80s, sadly. I love Dell Comics. You know, we've talked about Whitman, Dell, Eastern Publishing. Yep. They all ended up kind of combining at some point later in the future. But these were the people, these were the companies that started it all, man. You know, and I love paying such respect to, because I love Dell Comics. I love Dell Comics. Gold Key. You know, we've talked about Whitman so much. You know, I watched your Whitman, Howard the Duck the other night, kill it. Yep. Sold for a bunch of money, you know, and these are, I mean, you know, so we're talking about 50, 60 years before then, right? These were the companies that began comics. So
yeah, without these companies, I mean, there would be no Marvel, would be no DC or anything.
No, none of that. None of that. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why, you know, I want to pay respect and do this little series here. But Dale released in 1935 The Funnies, Popular Comics in 1936, and then in 1937 a book called The Comics. So if you notice also, you'll see a trend here. They seem to name everything something comics. Back then, you know, they weren't very original with some of their ideas.
There was no competition. They were the first ones. People didn't know what they were.
Exactly. So they had to kind of name them, right?
Yeah, these weren't open. These weren't comic book stores they were sold in. These were sitting on the shelves with all the other magazines and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, someone email or message Todd, tell him I'm on the show. Got the show going on. King Features Syndicate. Now, you and I being older, you know, King Features was a cartoon company. That's what they're mainly known for. Is the cartoons we would watch as kids. Yep. But you know, of course, they started out in newspaper strip comics with a lot of popular characters, and so they got into the game. So in 1936 they put out King Comics, in 1937 Ace Comics, and then in 1939 Magic Comics, which was mainly Mandrake the Magician, which was a huge, before Houdini, Mandrake was huge.
He was huge. And if anyone remembers Defenders of the Earth cartoon, they combined him and Phantom and Flash and everything. Those were the original heroes back in the day.
And the show, next week, I'm going to actually dive into more of the characters next week. So right now we're just talking about the comics. So next week, though, we're going to talk about all those characters and stuff. And then United Features Syndicate, another, you know, probably most popular would be Popeye, I think, was through them. King Features was like Blondie and Dagwood. Little Abner was also King. Yeah. And so you had United Features, like I said, I think it's most popular for Popeye. They got in on the game too, so they put out Tip Top Comics in 1936, and then they were peripherally involved in that one shot we talked about earlier, Comics on Parade. So they reused that name in 1938 and put out new ongoing called Comics on Parade. So that's where a lot of people may get Comics on Parade mixed up between the one shot that we talked about, which was an advertisement thing, versus Comics on Parade, the later ongoing series. So Thunder God saying, hey, that's Dagwood. I love Dagwood. Expletive somewhere. Thank you for not saying expletive. And then Whitman, whom we were just talking about, Whitman got in and they put out Crackerjack Funnies and Super Comics in 1938 and 1939, respectively. So Whitman had access to things like Dick Tracy. Little Joe, Smiling Jack, Smitty. So they had access to a pretty good array of characters. All right, so now get into most of these still are reprints. Most of these are still reprints. There's some new material in there, but most of these are still newspaper reprints. So, like I said, most of them are mainly paper new print, a little bit of new material. But you got to remember, these comics were being distributed or trying to be distributed anyway nationally. So your local newspaper may not have carried all of those comic strips. So those still would have been new to you.
Right.
Simply because, not every newspaper carried every single strip. So they also reprinted reprints. So, one comic might have, 4 or 5 issues later may have had, the same comic in it again. Because distribution was a little bit sketchy. So it still may have been new at some point to someone. So I want to tell a little story in 1934 about Major Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson. So he was, of course, ex-military. He had done a lot of work in the pulp industry as a writer. And he started, which has kind of a military sound to it, National Allied Publications, and published the all original on his comic book. They actually put on there all original New Fun Comics in 1935. So this was the first comic book that actually had everything brand new material. No reprinted stuff, nothing. So New Fun Comics by Major Nicholson was the very first all original comic book. So from the very beginning, though, the Major had financial issues, usually not being able to pay his artists the $5 page rate as he promised. And there are many problems, but probably some of the main problems was, remember, this is 1935. You only had Famous Funnies, and like we talked about last week, it took about 12 issues before Famous Funnies really started showing any kind of profit.
Yep.
So one of the problems was that he was early. He was kind of early. Second was these were all original stories. So they were characters that weren't known. People did tend to gravitate towards those characters that they knew, like Dagwood or Popeye or Dick Tracy, right? So when you're putting out a book that has all brand new characters, people aren't quite willing to give up their dime for something that they don't know.
Right. And was there anything you found? Why did the Major even go into this? Like you said, it was so new and it was all reprints and everything for him to come up with something brand new. Is anything the reason why he decided to jump into this?
No, he had been working in pulps for a long time as a writer. And from the stuff I've read, it just kind of started off as like, hey, in 1935, New York City, he decided to open a studio. And so he went around and hired some creators and artists and writers in order to get in on this new medium of comics. And really, when you look at what he put out, oh my God, do I even respond to the?
Oh, I didn't see it. Oh, there you go.
I'm not superhero anyway. All right. Peanut Gallery over here. Peanut Gallery. Love you, Thunder.
So he basically saw this as an up and coming, like I said, new medium. He's like, wow, these are
yeah.
So, and no one's doing this. Okay.
Yeah. So he, and it wasn't like full of comic strips. It was things like short stories with some pictures. He also went and did had artists create the very first things, like one of the first things he did was Ivanhoe, right? So these classics, Count of Monte Cristo, things like that. So he was having artists create these comic stories based on classic literature. There was also things like how to create a paper airplane, things like that. So he had a mixture of a lot of stuff in there, which I think maybe diluted, when you spread yourself, and you and I have talked about this in a lot of areas, right? When you spread yourself out wide instead of focusing on a very specific area, you tend to dilute yourself. So
absolutely,
he was trying to be a little bit of everything for everybody. So as a note, a pair of youngsters from Cleveland under the pen names of Ledger and Ralph sold and created a feature called Dr. Occult in New Fun number 6. Who do you think those people were?
Who were those brand new people from Cleveland? I don't know, Thunder. You might know that.
Yes, they may have created a little character called Superman.
Yep.
All right, so the first 6 issues was more magazine size than comic. With issue 7, they reduced the size. They did some coloring changes. You can see one of the later issues here on the right-hand side versus the earlier issue on the left hand. And they changed the name to More Fun Comics. And if you're an aficionado, you might already recognize from the font of More Fun Comics what this eventually became. So, and let's talk about it. Detective Comics. So despite low sales, the major did introduce new comics in 1936. With issue 12, the name changed to New Adventure Comics. And with issue 31 in 1938, the name changed to simply Adventure Comics. And this change marked the beginning of one of the longest running titles in comic book history. So that ought to give you a hint right now of what this company turned into. In 1937, they published a new title called Detective Comics. And you can see Detective Comics number 1 right down there. So this is the interesting part that I didn't know about. So due to Major Nicholson's money problems, Detective Comics was delayed by 3 months. They had done advertising in New Comics, More Fun, Adventure Comics. Oh my God. And he owed money to the printer. So there were 2 different printers, one that did the covers, which was this slick kind of paper, and another company that did the pulp interiors. And then they would combine them together. That's why if you look at older Golden Age comics, sometimes you'll see that overwrap of like a cover or that jagged edge and stuff. And that's because unlike today, where the same printer printed the interior and exterior, 2 different companies printed them, and then they combined them together at some point later. So even up until the Silver Age, you have the Marvel comics that have that overwrap, Silver Age Marvel, and that's because 2 different printers are doing those printings.
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't realize it either. And so to clear his debt and to be able to publish Detective Comics, he went into partnership with Harry Donfeld, the owner of the printer for the cover, as a partner, and a new company was formed to publish Detective Comics called Detective Comics Inc., or what we know of today as
Marvel.
That's right, Marvel Comics. Hey, Gorilla, what's up, buddy? We almost put you on speaker just to see.
He wouldn't put you on speaker.
Happen.
I told him to answer the phone and put him on speaker.
So anyway, I thought that was a very interesting little piece of history there.
That is very cool. Yeah, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, he owed so much money, he had to go into business. And so National Allied became Detective Comics, which was the formation of DC. Sadly, Major Nicholson will only be around for about another year, and he's going to end up selling his part of the business right before Action Comics #1.
Oh,
So he ended up not getting any money from the large success of DC Comics later on.
and he's the one that laid all the foundation for it.
Sold his interest in the company, went back to writing pulp series and stuff up until his death in 1968. So got zero. Hey,
oh, man, what's up,
Pop.
brother? Brotato chip.
All right, more comics. All right, so the former manager of New Fun, William Cook, formed his own company called Comics Magazine Company. His first publication was the Comics Magazine that eventually was renamed Funny Pages. These were followed by Funny Picture Stories in 1936, Detective Picture Stories in 1938, because there was some success with Detective Comics. So
Clearly.
Detective Comics focused on stories around detectives. And detectives was crazy hot. Pulp magazines, you had The Shadow, The Phantom, Dick Tracy, all these were detective adventure genres. This was later renamed to Keen Detective Stories. And then in 1938, a new person, Harry A. Chester, which was kind of funny. The A actually didn't stand for anything. He just liked the way it sounded. So he started calling himself Harry A. Chester because he thought it sounded cool. Formed his
kind of
own
like Vivia A. Fox.
Yeah, right. So he formed his own studio to produce stories for comics, and he soon began publishing his own books called Star Comics and Star Ranger. So this also, the other popular thing was westerns, but also not so much westerns. There was interest in westerns, but also along the same time you had books being published like Jack London, Call the Wild. So there were people interested in these adventures into these great expanses in the north. Yes, Thunder Publications. Ha ha ha. But people are interested in these adventures in the north, the great Yukon, because think about this. This is 1930s. The north, Canada, and, is still a very sparsely populated area full of adventure and, interest and stories and stuff. And even in the United States, except for your East Coast, which is the main populated area, and a little bit on the West Coast, because remember, this is still the early 1930s. You didn't even have talking movies yet. Radio wasn't even huge quite yet. So you're who to blame. So that's why these adventure, Western, Yukon, detective, right? And then again, right, detective. So you think about your East Coast, these cities and such, right? And crime, because these are very highly congested cities. Funny. So that intrigued people. So again, just like you, Jeff, and I always talk about, is we like to examine this history through the lens of the influence of what was going on around, right? And the culture and such. So the culture of the time really influenced what you saw in comic books. Anything to add to that as we ignore the peanut gallery for a moment?
Just laughing.
I know.
Thunder and Fox going back and forth. No, I mean, like I said, this is still, like I said, a time where you said there was a lot of adventure still out there, and a lot of people, a lot of the unknown. You know, and like I said, it always reflects, the media always reflects what's going on around them. So it makes sense that, you know, these detective stories and these adventure stories and the Wild West, I mean, those were real life mythology almost stuff right now. So I definitely understand why it was so popular.
Yeah. So that's where we're ending it today. I'm going the next episode, part 3, we're going to talk about the Golden Age heroes. So all the heroes that came from pulp magazines and came into these. So I am ignoring superheroes for a bit. Probably we won't even get to Superman until part 4. Because and that's why I said this is why I wanted to do this. History
Right.
of
We're
comics.
putting it down to bite-sized pieces, so we're only talking, 30 to 40 minutes. We want to have a video. There's still so much that happens before Superman that they said you want to pay homage to and look at the history of all this stuff. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, we have plenty of time to do it. We got all the time in the world.
Yeah. So that's why I really want to do this series was, because we tend to be a bit opaque, I think, in the way that we think of comics, right? Superheroes. And there's just so much more history involved rather than just superheroes. So I wanted to highlight some of that.
Which a random fact, the name superhero is actually a joint trademark between DC and Marvel.
Did not know that.
Yep, like when my old company that I formed to do the superhero nutrition stuff that we were doing, we had long discussions with our trademark attorney and everything, and he dove in that pretty deeply. And he's like, "Yeah, you can't call it superheroes if you think you might do anything on a print or a T-shirt or something because they own that and it's jointly owned." And it's the only time he said that he can find in the history where a word like that is so tightly wound up into, like I said, Superman, Spider-Man. Those are superheroes. When you say superheroes, that's what it rings in people's mind.
Yeah.
And that was the argument they went against the judges with, and saying, hey, when you say superhero, you may mean a police officer or a fireman, but really, yes, the 99 of 100 people, the first thing they're going to say is Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Thor. That's going to pop up, and that's how they're able to keep the trademark for this for so long, and why it's a joint trademark.
That's interesting. So like I mentioned, Matthew, is you had a lot of these companies that had characters. So Keen Syndicate, had access to certain characters that they published through newspapers. You had United, which had its own characters. But yes, you're right. They did reach out, like I talked about with the Major, with his early stuff, was reaching out to literature that had copyright laws were a little iffy back then, probably, but he reached out to these classic literature like Ivanhoe and things like that in order to pull characters from and stories. So yeah, it's kind of like no one really owns that anymore. It's in the public domain, so to speak. So yeah, they were able to pull in those characters. So there's a little bit of a mixture. So and I couldn't. I tried looking for things like maybe original characters that got crazy popular through comics. That were, funny characters and stuff, little Lulu started out in newspapers, Little Orphan Annie, So I hadn't found any yet that really caught on through comic books themselves. So
That's a good point. I can't name like Popeye and all the ones you can kind of name all started in comic strips in
yeah,
newspaper.
comic strips, exactly. So um that's not to say that there's not something, I just haven't found it yet. But yeah, Popeye and Dick Tracy, um Prince Valiant, all of those started out in newspaper strips. So
What about Betty Boop?
I think Betty Boop started out cartoon.
It was a cartoon first.
I think so. I think so. That new medium of cartoons, which that doesn't even begin for another, looking at our timeline here of 1934. Really, we went from 1934 to around 1939 here, ignoring superheroes. Cartoons did not really start getting crazy popular until the late 30s was when Popeye and things like that started coming out. So because even if we think about like the Max Fleischer cartoons, those didn't happen until the early 40s. So
Right.
we're still a couple of years away from even cartoons becoming a large medium. Radio is still in kind of its infancy too at this point. So
Yeah, and that's where you get the
yeah,
more popularity of the Dick Tracy's and Shadows and all that stuff.
only the shadow knows. So
Flash Gordon, right, Todd?
oh yeah, Flash Gordon. Yeah, Flash Gordon started out in comic strips too. So, and we're going to get into all those. We're going to talk about all those next week. So we'll talk about the Phantom, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, all of those characters next week. So
Buck Rogers.
well, and there's so many other good ones like Tom Corbin, Space Cadet.
I
I had a chance by Tom Corbin Space Cadet helmet. Oh, back in the 80s, I should have bought it. Oh, still miss that. But anyway. All right. So it's about 8:20 my time. So one thing I want to ask the people out here. Who are you talking to?
What?
Who are you talking to?
You? I would say you said you had a favor to ask, and I said me, or do you mean them? I mean, you mean them?
Them. So if y'all have not found out about it, hold on. Let me pull it up. Actually, it's
Shelby's
a
pregnant.
non-paid promotion here. So you know that we sell we sell things and stuff. Old Jeff and I in things like the Whatnots and on YouTube and IG and eBay and all that stuff. So there is another company out there that I'm getting involved with, and they are called. I'm actually just going to share my screen here.
Yeah, you're the big reason, Thunder.
You're the reason. So there's another company called PopShop.Live. Great company. You can unlike Whatnot, you can see shows on your computer just like you see here. You can go through, purchase things. Here's a guy selling comic books right now, Rick's Comics. selling comics on here. And you can see people there live, the events. I've got my watch list set up, toys, comic books, all that. And so I'll be joining the PopShop.Live family here in about a week or so. Where am I at? Can you see me? I've lost myself.
I can see you.
I've lost myself. There I am. So I'll be joining the PopShop.Live community selling here in a couple of weeks. My first show is scheduled for December 1st. And what I need is a little bit of help. So down below in the description, I need y'all please to go to your apps on your phones and download the app for PopShop.Live. And Jeff, you did this for me, and it's pretty easy. Just enter in your phone number, I believe.
I had to get some blood and urine, but other than that,
okay. And
I do that freely.
Okay. And so you download. I'll get it out in a second. Download.
That's what she said.
Download the old app, and it will ask you. Will it show up? Yeah. So you download the old app.
Batman.
You're Batman. And it'll ask you if you have a seller code. Please, please, please use the code word Shelby. Download the app, go to PopShop.Live, download the app, and use the seller code Shelby. So I need to get 10 people to do that before my first show. If I can get up to 20 people to do that, they will sponsor a free shipping. Free shipping for everybody, unlimited purchases. Okay. So you can buy up a whole bunch of great stuff. And oh my God. Buy up a lot of great stuff and get free shipping for my show. So please, please, please.
Hey, it's the Comic Doctor. What is up, man?
Hey, Comic Doctor, what's up? So please, 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 go down below. Oh, I'm ignoring. Another great thing that you can get involved in. So PopShop.Live, put in the seller code word Shelby, and you will help me out so much. So help support that community, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Go check out the shows and stuff. Like I said, you can do it on your app. You can do it on the computer. It's so convenient, so great. And, it's got a lot of great people out there. And Midtown Comics is involved with them. So it's just a really great community. So I really appreciate any support. You're supporting me, and show me how much y'all love me. Please show me how much you love me. Download the app, use the code word, use the seller code word. Oh my God. There is people trying to make a living here, Thunder. So help me out. Also, please like, comment, subscribe to the show here. Subscribe to me, subscribe to Jeff. Our links and everything are down below. I will be holding a Whatnot show tonight at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. So come visit me there. I'll be having another one on Wednesday at 10 p.m. So come visit me there too. What you got going on, Jeff?
I got the normal stuff. Wednesday we got the big Whatnot show. Thursday we're in the Thunderdome. Friday is the huge raffle shows I normally do on Whatnot, and then Sunday, and I'm back here for Monday.
All right, sounds great. So, let's see. Let's do something funny. What's one we hadn't done in a while?
Oh.
You're not cooking. Yeah, dude. Pork chop sandwiches.
Pork chop sandwiches.
I love me some pork chop sandwiches. I do. Oh,
What's with the horror books, Gorilla?
he loves the way I say it.
Oh.
They make fun of my English in the way I pronounce it. So, but anyway,
That happens.
yeah. All right. Hey, Comic Doctor. Yeah, I've been watching some of his shows. He's been buying a couple of good collections lately, too. Definitely, I've been wanting to hit the Comic Doctor up on some books he's got in those collections and see if we make a little deal for a friend. He does his live shows, which I pop into when I get a chance. He puts out a what's in the press every week, so you can see what's going on with him. So if y'all haven't subbed up to Comic Doctor, please do a search. Maybe Jeff or one of I could drop his link here. It is in a previous show, so you can go find his link in the show where we interviewed him and help him out. Oh, I think he's doing his. Have you done your 1,000 subscriber giveaway yet, Comic Doctor? Because I know I saw a show last week announcing that. But have you done the giveaway already? Oh, I think you did some of it. I watched you and your son on one of the shows, and y'all are doing giveaways. So. Yes, so he did. Yes, I watched. I'm assuming that's your son and not some kid you kidnapped, and forcing to, give away comic books with you. But yeah, so I did watch that, and I watched a lot of great winners and stuff, and everything. But yeah, go support the Comic Doctor, and I'm sure I'll be having plenty of other giveaways coming up. I think that Thunder has reached 600 subs. He's planning a big giveaway at some point. He asked me the other week if I would come on to do that. So Thunder,
what you giving away, Thunder?
What are you giving away, Thunder? Are you planning your show yet? What's going on with that? Me, I'm still a little bit past 300. I'd love to get up to around 500 subs and do a big giveaway. So, maybe we can make that happen. I know that Jeff does some amazing giveaways on the whatnots and stuff. I'm just surprised by, the big books that he gives away. What's some of the big books you're giving away this week? Have you got anything planned yet?
I haven't figured out exactly what I'm doing for Friday for the big ones. And I always do a 9.8 slab.
Always does 9.8 slab.
I always do 9.8 slabs every Friday. Usually 2 out of 3 shows I give away a 9.8 slab. I don't know what I'm going to do for this one. It's probably going to be a signed Venom slab.
Ooh, nice. What we're going to do. Nice. All right, so Thunder said he's going to give away a 9.8 slab of Batman book. So for his 600 subs, so y'all keep an eye out for that. Go sub.
I thought you were giving away that Something is Killing the Children. You showed the pictures of Something's Killing the Children #1. That's what you're giving away. Come check out Thunder Show 9.8. Something's Killing the Children #1 giveaway.
There you go. But yeah, a lot of great things going on in the community. Support Thunder. Support Gorilla Todd's over on Whatnot. Of course, Jeff and I support us the most. We appreciate it. And such. All right. Any other announcements going on before we shut this thing down?
No, another good show, man. A lot of great information in there. So that's one thing I love about doing these YouTube shows. You can go back and watch them again a couple times. And I do get a lot of messages saying, hey, I've rewatched that show a few times now. I picked up some more information on there. I know I got some people that are still diving into the foreign comics one that we did that are now said they've gone down the rabbit hole. So, yeah, I've got a buddy of mine that just dove into the Punisher foreign side of it. So I was helping him out with some of those books. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We would love to, Comic Doctor.
Oh,
We
absolutely,
would
Comic
love
Doctor.
to.
Anytime, man.
We would love to. And, you know, we may only have, all right. So there you go. There's Thunder. This Thursday on his Chan, 9:30 Eastern time, which would be 8:30 Central for the rest of us. I didn't even talk about that Titans Saints game.
It got close at the end.
I
You almost came back.
I think the couple penalties helped out. We helped you out a little bit. So
yeah, we hurt ourselves a couple times too. We drove down towards the end in the fourth quarter. We drove down the field right away, and we're in the red zone, which we're great in the red zone right there. Like, okay, we have 4 downs to get in. We're going to do this one. And then we had a penalty. Then we had a delay of game. And then we had a sack. So it put us all the way back. So we had to kick a field goal instead. It's like, oh. But then you guys marched right down the field and scored. It was like, oh, man, this is going to get close now.
Yeah. You know, we just I don't like blaming things on injuries. You know, we had some people out. But, you know, you got to keep that momentum going, man. And they just look all season, though. The Saints have just looked a little bit sluggish, you know, not like that smooth engine there. But at least the Tampa Bay lost also. So that
Sure they didn't.
helps
I mean, look, we lost Henry for the year. I mean, he may come back in the playoffs if we make it to the playoffs, but you know, when you have 75% of your offense goes through one person, he's gone, and we still end up winning. Like you said, it's hard to blame injuries if the system is right. You know, it still goes. But yeah, I mean, you with the new quarterbacks and everything the Saints got, I mean, you've got a lot of good pieces there, and like I said, it looks like it just needs more time to click, and you'll probably get there.
Yeah. You know, I wasn't expecting a ton out of this season with, you know, us losing Breeze and things like that, but you know, we'll see.
Playoffs.
Yeah, I gotta love some more. But
I love that interview.
Yeah, you know, we only have a couple of people, but we always, you know, in the live shows, but we always consistently get about 80 to 90 watches, and those have been going up. Those have been going up lately, I noticed on the statistics. So we're approaching almost 100 watches a week with our show. So we really appreciate everybody. And again, hey, y'all, please go support me with my new endeavor on PopShop.Live. You know, that's just being serious. Download that app, use seller code Shelby, and you'll really help me out so much. And I thank y'all for it. All right.
That is out here, Shelby, man. Great show.
All right. With that, we're going to say goodnight, everyone. We love you. See y'all. What's next week? We're going to be on your Chan, and
yep.
You know,
I'm excited. I'm not going to say Wildstorm because that never falls through. So I'll figure something out.
All right. Sounds great. And with that, we're going to say, hey, peace, love, and comics.
And comics.
Thank you all.
See you guys later. See you, Todd.